Welcome back to the third and the final session of myth and rituals. We stopped last time talking about discussion question: how does fire function symbolically, in these different contexts? What makes a fire such a powerful and universal ritual element? Think about it. Fire appears in religious rituals from every tradition. We've examined Greek, Hindu, Zoroastrian, Buddhist, Christian, and countless others. Why first fires? Um, Physical properties, making it symbolically rich. It transforms, turning solid to ash, raw to cooked. It purifies, destroying constraints and disease. It eliminates, dispelling darkness. It rises, suggesting essence to heavenly realms. It provides warmth, suggesting comfort to life, community. It can destroy, suggesting divine power and judgment. Second, fire's importance in human evolution makes it psychologically resonant. Controlling a fire was turning a point in human development, enabling cooking, warmth, protection, tool making. We have deep evolutionary connection to fire, fire, gathering around fires and where human community and culture developed. Third, fire is liminal. It's neither fully material for immaterial, neither solid or nor gas, neither permanent nor fleeting. It exists at the boundary between states, making it perfect for symbolizing a spiritual reality that transcend immaterial distinctions. Fourth, fire requires tending. It must be fed, protected, maintained. This makes it appropriate for symbolizing relationships with the divine that require constant attention and care. Finally, fire is genuinely dangerous. It burns, it spreads, it destroys. This makes it an appropriate symbol for divine power, which can bless or curse. Um, the foreknowledge, which can enlighten or corrupt. Consider these factors as you think about fire's symbolic power. Now let's go to case study introduction Osiris, the Egyptian myth of Osiris and funerary rituals. The Egyptian myth of Osiris is one of the most influential stories in ancient history, profoundly shaping Egyptian views of death, afterlife, and resurrection. Osiris, originally a king who taught Egyptians agriculture and civilization, was murdered by his jealous brother Set, um, who dismembered his body and scattered the pieces across Egypt. Osiris' wife Isis searched for and reassembled the pieces, and through her magical powers, temporarily brought Osiris back to life, long enough to conceive their son Horus. Osiris then became ruler of the underworld and judge of the dead. Now let's go to the cycle of Osiris' life and kingship. Osiris rules as a benevolent king, bringing civilization, uh, resurrection, and renewal. Osiris rises as lord of the otherworld, death and dismemberment. Set murders and scatters Osiris across the land. Quest and gathering. Uh, Isis searches for and resembles her husband. This represents the restoration of order, the feminine divine power that heals and renews, the gathering of scattered fragments into wholeness. This is love and determination overcomes set chaos and violence. Fourth, resurrection and renewal. Osiris rises as Lord of the Underworld, judging the dead and ruling the realm beyond life. This represents transformation rather than simple restoration. Osiris doesn't return to either kinship, but assume a new, even more important role. Death leads it not to annihilation, but into transformation and the continuation in a different code. This cycle, order, chaos, restoration, transformation becomes a fundamental pattern in Egyptian thought applied to agricultural, to the Nile's flood cycle, to royal suction, and most importantly, to every individual death and hoped for resurrection. The myth provided a narrative template for making sense of death, the most fundamental human mystery. It answered the question, what happens when we die? The answer, if you live rightly and receive proper funerary rites, you become Osiris. You are resurrected, you enter the blessed afterlife. Funerary practices. This myth directly shaped the Egyptian funerary practice. Every deceased person was symbolically identified with Osiris, their death and burial re enacted his death and resurrection, the elaborate communique, um, mummification or mummification process paralleled Isis's assembly of Osiris's body. Funerary texts like the Book of the Dead provided spells and instructions to help the deceased navigate the underworld just as Osiris had done. The weighing of the heart ceremony judged whether the deceased lived accordingly to Maat's cosmic order and truth, with Osiris presiding as divine judge. uh, Accompanied by Thus, who recorded the result, and Amit, the devourer, who waited to consume the hearts of the unrighteous. If the heart balanced with feather, light, and pure, the deceased passed into the pleased afterlife. If the heart was heavy with evil, Amit devoured it, and the person suffered the second death, total annihilation. This judgment shows that Egyptian afterlife was not guaranteed. It required moral living and the proper ritual. The impact. of the Rees culture impact. The impact of Egyptian culture was profound. The promise of resurrection gave Egyptians hope that this was not the end, but a transformation to a new existence. This belief motivated the construction of elaborate tombs and the investment of enormous resources in funerary reparations. The annual flooding of the Nile, which brought fertility to the land, was linked to Osiris, connecting agricultural cycles to mythic patterns of death and rebirth. Making farming a sacred act, participating in cosmic patterns. The myth also affected royal ideology. The living pharaoh was identified with Horus, or Osiris' son and avenger. When the pharaoh died, he became Osiris, and the new pharaoh became Horus. This provided both continuity and legitimacy to royal succession. The pharaoh was both human and divine, mediating between the two realms, just as Osiris had done. The persistence of this myth for over 3,000 years testifies to its power and cultural importance. It shaped Egyptian civilization as fundamentally as any myth has shaped any culture. Then let's go to video resource. Watch Ted Edge, the Egyptian myth of the death of the Reis, for a visual retelling of this powerful story and its cultural significance. Using animation to bring the myth to life. Visual retelling can help you to understand and remember myths in ways that reading alone cannot. The video illustrates key moments, sets treasury, Izis's quest, the wing of the heart, making them vivid and memorable. After this course, take time to explore visual resources about myths. Museums have wonderful Egyptian collections where you can see actual funerary objects, mummy cases with their in description and tomb paintings depicting the afterlife journey, democrat, the documentaries about Egypt inevitably discuss Osiris because he was so central to their civilization. The more ways you engage with these myths, reading, hearing, seeing, discussing, the deeper your understanding becomes. Then let's go to modern relevance of myth and ritual. Myths have not disappeared in the modern world. They have adapted and evolved, continuing to shape contemporary culture in profound ways. Literature, film, and the proper and popular culture constantly draw upon mythic structures and are archetypical archetypal characters. The hero's journey, identified by Joseph Campbell, appears in everything from Star Wars to Harry Potter. Superhero cosmic imagine ancient gods as caped crusaders. Fantasy literature creates new mythologies that serve similar functions to ancient ones. The hero's journey, identified by Joseph Campbell, separation, initiation, return, appear in everything from Star Wars to Matrix to The Lion King. These stories resonate because they follow patterns deeply embedded in human consciousness through millennia of myth telling. Superhero cosmics and the films reimagine ancient gods and cave crusaders. Uh, Superman is essentially a savior figure with Christ-like attributes sent from above, raised by humble foster parents, possesses superhuman powers, sacrificed himself for humanity. Thor, literally in the Norse god, astaghfirullah, updated for modern audiences. Wonder Woman draws on Greek mythology. These aren't just entertainment, they're modern mythology, exploring timeless themes of good versus evil, power and responsibility, justice and merely fantasy. Literature creates a new mythology that serve similar functions to ancient ones. Tolkien's Middle Earth with its creation myth, its heroic struggle against evil, it seems, of sacrifice and corruption. These stories provide meaning, inspire moral reflection, and create shared cultural reference points, just as ancient myths did. Personal identity rituals, weddings, birthdays, graduations, and retirement parties mark life traditions and transitions with symbolic actions, special clothing, and prescribed sequences of events. These personal rituals help individuals navigate change and affirm their identities. Commonwealth identity rituals. National holidays, religious festivals, and cultural celebration brings communities together, reinforcing shared identity and collective memory. Thanksgiving, Diwali, Ramadan, Christmas, and the Lunar New Year function as modern rituals connecting participants to large narratives. Whether religious, cultural, or national, they create shared experiences that bind communities together and provide regular occasions for family and the community gathering, transmit values to younger generations, and mark the passage of time with meaningful celebrations. Without these communal rituals, societies would be collectively or collections of isolated individuals rather than cohesive communities with shared identities. Culture, mythology, films, television series, and novels create shared cultural narratives that function like modern myths, providing common references points and exploring timeless themes through contemporary settings and characters. Consider Star Wars. It's explicitly modeled on Campbell's heroes. journey and draws on multiple mythic traditions. Luke Skywalker follows the classic hero pattern, ordinary, original call to adventure, supernatural aid from a mentor, trials and ordeals, acquiring a special power, confronting evil, sacrificing himself, being reborn, and returning transformed. The Force is essentially a mystical divine power. The Darth Vader is a fallen hero, a cautionary tale about corruption. The theories explores the good versus evil, redemption and dangers of fear and danger and anger. The power of love and sacrifice, all times the mystic or mythic themes are considered Harry Potter, which has created a shared mythology for an entire generation. Harry is an orphan, the chosen one, faces evil, sacrifices himself and his and is resurrected, defeats darkness. The series explores the courage, friendship, loves the power to overcome the dangers of prejudice and authoritarianism. These aren't just entertainment, they provide moral frameworks and inspire readers and create shared cultural languages. People reference these stories to explain real life situations just as a previous generations reference the biblical or classical myth. The Marvel Cinematic Universe creates an elaborate shared mythology with interconnected stories, iconic characters, world-ending threats, and themes of sacrifice and heroism. These characters and stories serve mythic functions. They inspire, teach moral lessons, provide archetypal figures, and create shared cultural narratives that unite your diverse audiences in common understanding. When we watch these films and discuss them, passionately debate their meanings, dress as the characters make pilgrimages to filming locations. We're engaging in mythic and ritual behavior. We just do not call it that. Cultural empathy and self-reflection, understanding myth and ritual fosters cultural empathy and self-reflection. When we recognize the mythic pattern in our own culture, we can better understand and appreciate the myths of other cultures. We realize that different cultures expressions often address similar human concerns. This awareness promotes respect for cultural diversity while highlighting our common humanity or humanity. We see that no culture has a monopoly on truth or meaning, making each culture's myths and rituals are valid expressions of that cultural experience and values. This doesn't mean all myths are equally true in any objective scene sense, but there is all meaningful expressions of human attempts to understand exercise, existence. Studying others' myths also illuminates our own when you study how other cultures conceptualize time, divinity, death, morality, you become aware that your own cultural concepts aren't universal or natural. Their particular cultural constructions. This can be unsettling, but ultimately liberating. You realize you can think outside your cultural conditioning, question assumption you didn't even know you had. For example, Western cultures tend to conceive time as a linear moving from past through present to future, with history progressing somewhere, but many other Cultures conceive time uh, clinically, endlessly, repeating patterns, eternal return. Neither is objectively correct. Their the different cultural frameworks, recognizing this helps you understand both yourself and other. The better this cultural empathy is increasingly important in our globalized world where we constantly interact with people from different backgrounds. Understanding that we all create myths and rituals to make meanings helps us appreciate others' practices even when they differ radically from our own. Living traditions. Myth remains a living tradition, continuously adapting to contemporary contexts while maintaining connections to ancient wisdom. New myths emerge to address modern concerns, environmental crisis, inspire ecological myths, space exploration creates new cosmic narratives, and digital technology generates cyber myths. The human need for meaningful stories that explain our place in the universe remains constant even as the specific forms evolve. We're not less mythic than ancient peoples. We're mythic in new ways. Our myth features the space ships instead of divine chariots, AI instead of gods, superheroes instead of demigods, but they serve the same functions, explaining, inspiring, teaching, creating community, making meaning. Future generations will study our myths, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, the way we study ancient Greek, Norse, and Egyptian myths. They'll analyze what our myths reveal about our values, fears, hopes, and worldview. Mythmaking is not a primitive an activity with outgrowing. It's a fundamental human activity that evolves with us. As long as human exists, we will create and need myths. Core principles of myth and ritual. Intertwined cultural tools. Myths and rituals work together as integrated systems for explaining the world, validating cultural practices, and inspiring meaningful fiction or action. Neither functions effectively in isolation. Myths need ritual embodiment, and ritual need mythical context. Symbolic language. Both myths and the ritual communicate through symbols that operate on multiple levels, simultaneously engaging emotion, imagination, and intellect. This symbolic language connects humans with the cosmos, with each other, and with deeper dimensions of reality. Universal and particular, studying myths and the ritual reveals universal human concerns, morality, meaning, morality, identity, while also celebrating diverse cultural expressions. Each culture develops unique answers to common questions. Personal enrichment, engaging with myths, enriches our understanding of history, society, and ourselves. It provides tools for self reflection, cultural analysis, and meaning making in our own lives. Myths offer wisdom that transcends their original contexts. Uh, these key insights provide a foundation for continued exploration of mythic and ritual traditions as you encounter myths and ritual in your further studies. Remember to look for their multiple functions, symbolic elements, and cultural contexts. Consider how they address universal human concerns while reflecting in particular cultural values and historical circumstances. Additional resources for students deepen your understanding of myths and the ritual through these careful selected resources. Each offer unique perspectives and insight that will enhance your appreciation of these fundamental aspects of human culture. Recommended the books: Joseph Campbell, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Campbell's groundbreaking work identified the common pattern in heroes myth across cultures, revealing the monomyth structure that underlies countless stories from ancient epics to modern films. Karen Armstrong, A Short History of Myth, a concise, readable overview of how myths have evolved from uh, Paleolithic times to prevent exploring their changing functions and continued relevance in modern life. Marisa Ladd, the sacred and the profane, explores how religious experiences creates sacred space and time, distinguishing the mythic world view from secular perspectives. Online video resources, TED Myth series with fully animated short videos exploring myths from around the world, perfect for visual learners and quick viewers of specific mythological traditions. Wade Davis Dreams from Endangered Cultures, a powerful TED Talk exploring threatened, endangered cultures and their unique mythological overviews emphasizing the importance of cultural diversity. Crash Course Mythology, comprehensive video series conveying major mythological traditions with engaging presentations and thoughtful analysis. Interactive websites. Uh, Mystic Journeys, interactive exploration of mythological themes and the multimedia resources, a scholastic myths from around the world, a student-friendly collection with discussion guides, sacred text archive, um, comprehensive digital library of religious and mythological texts. Study tools, immense analysis worksheets for comparing cultural traditions, ritual observations guides for field research projects, creative projects planner for myths, and ritual creation activities, symbol direction for decoding mythic imagery. Reflection questions take time reflect to reflect deeply on these questions. They are designed to help you connect the academic study of myth and ritual to your own life experiencing and observations. There are no single correcting or no single correct answers. The goal is thoughtful engagement with the material. How do myths shape your understanding of the world? Consider the stories you were told as a child, the cultural narratives you've absorbed, and the explanatory frameworks you use to make sense of reality. What origin stories do you believe? What moral lessons guide your behavior? How do these narratives influence your world view? Can you identify rituals in your own life that connect to larger stories or values? Examine your daily routines, family traditions, religious practices, and cultural celebrations. What symbolic meanings do these actions carry? What values do they reinforce? How do they connect you to your community or tradition? What would be lost if you stopped performing these rituals? Why do you think myths and rituals have persisted for thousands of years? What deep human needs do myths and rituals fulfill that other forms of communication cannot? Why haven't these been entirely replaced by scientific explanations or rational discourse? What would human life lose if myths and rituals disappeared completely? How might creating your own myth or ritual help you express your identity? What stories about yourself or your community need to be told? What values are most important to you? And how might they be expressed through narrative or symbolic action? What transitions or challenges in your life might benefit from ritualization? How could you use mythic and ritual patterns to create meaningful experiences? Journal assignment. Choose one reflection question and write a 500-word response, exploring your thoughts in depth. Support your reflection with specific examples from your own life and connections to myths or rituals studied in this course. As you conclude the exploration of this and ritual, we turn to a fundamental truth. These are not relics of humanities, of humanity, primarily past, but timeless expressions of human creativity and meaning making that remain vibrantly relevant today, from the earliest cave paintings to the latest blockbuster film, from ancient temple ceremonies to modern graduation rites. Human continues to tell stories and perform symbolic actions that connect us to something larger than ourselves. Bridging walls, myths, and rituals bridge the seen and unseen, making the invisible visible and the abstract tangible through story and symbol. Cosmic connection, they connect humans to the cosmic, positioning us within larger patterns of meaning and purpose. Connecting time, they connect the past and the present, allowing ancient wisdom to speak to contemporary concerns while adapting to new contexts. Individual identity, they shape individual identity, providing framework for understanding who we are and what our lives mean. Community bonds, they create and sustain community, binding individuals together through shared narratives and collective experiences. By studying myths and rituals, we gain profound insights into the human spirit and the cultural threads that bind us all. We discover that beneath surface differences like common human concerns and shared patterns of meaning making. We learn to appreciate both cultural diversity and human unity. We develop tools for analyzing our own cultural assumptions and creating more meaningful lives. Myth is the secret opening through which the inexhaustible energies of the cosmos pour into human cultural manifestation. Joseph Campbell. Embrace the stories and ceremonies around your around you, whether ancient traditions passed down through generations or emerging narratives that address contemporary concerns, recognizing them not as mere entertainment or employment formality, but as vital expressions of human creativity, wisdom, and the eternal quest for meaning. You are part of the ongoing human story, and through your own narratives and rituals, you contribute to this magnificent, never-ending conversations about what is means or what it means to be human. As you move forward, carry with you the understanding that myths and rituals are not things of the past, but living forces that continues to shape our world and ourselves. May this knowledge enrich your engagement with culture, deepen your self-understanding, and open your eyes to the profound meaning embedded in the stories we tell and the ceremonies we perform. Oh, thank you. This brings us to the conclusion of our journey through myths and ritual. Thank you for your attention, your engagement, and your willingness to explore these profound dimensions of human culture. I hope this course has given you new lenses for seeing the world, new appreciation for cultural diversity, new understanding of your own cultural conditioning and new tools for creating meaning in your life. Remember that this is just the beginning. The study of myth and the ritual is inexhaustible. These are always more traditions to explore, more patterns to recognize, more applications to discover, more meanings to uncover. Continue your exploration beyond the discourse. Read widely, observe carefully, reflect deeply, and create consciously the myth and the ritual you encounter, study, and create will enrich your life in ways you cannot yet imagine. They will provide resources for facing the challenges, frameworks for understanding experiences, connections to community and tradition, and the path to meaning and fulfillment as you go forward. Carry with you the wisdom of the millennia of human meaning making. You are the inheritors of countless generations who told stories around fires, who performed ceremonies under stars, who created meaning from chaos, who passed their wisdom to children who passed it um, to their children who ultimately passed it to you, and you will pass it forward in your own unique way to those who come after. This is eternal human task, receiving, transforming, and transmitting meaning. May you do it well with consciousness, creativity, and care. Thank you, and may your journey through myth and ritual continue long after this course ends.